Qatar is fighting back. UAE is fighting back. Kuwait's fighting back. Bahrain's fighting back. They're all fighting back. Actually, they were surprised to be hit. I was very surprised they got hit. And once they got hit, they started fighting very well. We're very strong communications with all of those countries, and they've all been fighting. They're 100% on our side.
How long can you pay TSA workers for? How long can you pay TSA workers for from the One Big Beautiful Bill?
Well, we're going to pay them for as long as we have to, and I will tell you, the ICE workers have been amazing, and that's helping people with their bags. It's very interesting. We put ICE there, and ICE got a very unfair press. They're doing an amazing job getting hardened criminals, murders. 11,888 murders were allowed to come into our country through Biden, and ICE has been amazing. Now, we said, give us a little hand during this period of time, because this is caused by Democrat terrorists. These people are sick. They don't care about our country. They don't care about people. But what it's all about really is they want to have open borders, and they want to have criminals come into our country so they can get more votes, because they're losing votes fast. Look at how I did with the Hispanic population, and now I'm doing even better with the Hispanic population, and that's bad for them. They always had it, now they don't have it anymore. These are people that want our country to fail, and the voters see that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome.
अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप मीडिया से गुफ्तगू कर रहे थे। उन्होंने कहा कि मुश्तबा खामनाई मर चुके या बुरी हालत में हैं। उनकी जानिब से यह दावा किया गया है। उन्होंने कहा कि ईरान के खिलाफ मुख्तलिफ ऑप्शंस पर गौर कर रहे हैं। खार्क जजीरे पर कब्जा कर सकते हैं। ईरानी जजीरे खार्क पर कब्जे की कोशिश की जा रही है। अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने वाज़ेह तौर पर कहा है कि खार्क जजीरे को इंतहाई आसानी से हासिल किया जा सकता है। ईरान के साथ मुआहदा किया जा सकता है। मुश्तबा खामनाई की सूरत हाल गैर वाज़ेह है। पाकिस्तान के ज़रिए ईरान अमरीका मुज़ाकरात में पेशरफ्त हो रही है। आपको अपडेट कर रहे हैं कि अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने कहा है कि पाकिस्तान के ज़रिए ईरान अमरीका मुज़ाकरात में पेशरफ्त हो रही है। मुश्तबा खामनाई की सूरत हाल गैर वाज़ेह है। वो मर चुके हैं या फिर बुरी हालत में हैं, अब तक वाज़ेह नहीं हो सका। उन्होंने साथ ही साथ आपको बताया है कि पाकिस्तान के ज़रिए ईरान अमरीका मुज़ाकरात में पेशरफ्त हो रही है। अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने वाज़ेह किया है कि खार्क जजीरे पर कब्ज़ा कर सकते हैं। खार्क जजीरे पर कब्ज़ा करना इंतहाई आसान है। उन्होंने वाज़ेह तौर पर कहा है कि ईरान के मामले पर मुख्तलिफ ऑप्शंस पर गौर कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान के ज़रिए ईरान अमरीका मुज़ाकरात में पेशरफ्त हो रही है। अमरीकी सदर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने मीडिया से गुफ्तगू में कहा है कि पाकिस्तान के ज़रिए ईरान अमरीका मुज़ाकरात में वाज़ेह पेशरफ्त हो रही है। उन्होंने कहा कि मुश्तबा खामनाई के हवाले से सूरत हाल गैर वाज़ेह है। वो मर चुके हैं या फिर बुरी हालत में हैं। अमरीकी सदर की जानिब से यह दावा किया गया। शामिल करेंगे न्यूज़ अपडेट्स।
इस न्यूज अपडेट को आप तक पहुंचाने के लिए हमारे साथ ताउन किया है।
तभी तो सबसे ज्यादा चले लेमन मैक्स बार, कम घुले ज्यादा चले।
Sabroso चिकन चीज पराठा।
जंगी जुनून में मुब्तला इसराइल ने फौजी बजट में $10 अरब का बड़ा इजाफा कर दिया। मजमूई दिफाई अखराजात $45 अरब से तजावुज़ कर गए। सहूनी रियासती पार्लियामेंट ने 2026 के लिए बजट $245 अरब की मंजूरी दे दी। बजट मंजूरी के लिए वज़ीर आज़म नेतन्याहू के लिए कबल इस वक्त इंतखाबात के खतरे को फिलहाल टाल दिया। अमरीका ईरान के खिलाफ ज़मीनी कार्रवाई के लिए बड़े पैमाने पर तैयारियां कर रहा है। ईरानी अफवाज भी तैयार हैं। ज़मीनी कार्रवाइयों में अमरीका को मुंह की खाना पड़ेगी। स्पीकर पार्लियामेंट बाकर कालिबाफ ने खबरदार कर दिया। और कुवैत एयरपोर्ट पर हमले के बाद तबाही की एक और फुटेज सामने आ गई। एयरपोर्ट की इमारत की छत को बड़े पैमाने पर नुकसान पहुंचा। एयरपोर्ट को 3 रोज कबल निशाना बनाया गया था।
बहुओं के हाथों में दम है।
पूरे खानदान के कपड़े मैले हो गए हैं, ये सरदर्दी क्या कम है?
बहुत कम है मेरे बोनस ट्राई स्टार के सामने। बनाए झाग ज्यादा, निकाले दाग ज्यादा, कपड़े धोए सबसे ज्यादा।
वही रस्साकशी एक बार और होगी।
सोच लो,
इस बार बहुओं के साथ उनकी सास भी होगी।
वाह क्या बात है बोनस की।
Absolutely. And like you mentioned that, this war has exposed, a lot of things, and it has exposed a lot of vulnerabilities. And sometimes what we're seeing on television and what we're seeing through media, we're seeing different parts of the story, and we actually are not really aware of the, on the ground situation that's happening in those countries. So, when water infrastructure is hit, whether through bombings or cyber disruptions, what do you think that looks like, on the ground? For instance, how quickly do these communities lose access to, safe drinking water, and what are the immediate public health consequences?
Well, as far as Gulf countries are concerned, I mean, they are immediate. Those consequences are immediate because you're not getting water in your tap. What can you do? I mean, you go to a convenience store, you can buy a few bottles of water, but that convenience store is not being replenished. So how many bottles of water you can bring home and store it? So and as I mentioned earlier, that region doesn't have a stream or a lake or even underground water where you can walk and get a few liters of water for you and your family. So that impact is very critical in that part of the world where everything is artificial. So that artificiality has been exposed. And this is what the world should learn, that you should respect the limits the nature has put on economic growth. You should grow at a geographical location as much as the nature allows you to. So going beyond your means, going beyond your, cut your coat according to the cloth. That's a very famous saying. So if you overstep that, then sooner or later, something very unexpected can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, talking about different regions, if we, talk about Ukraine, in Ukraine, like millions struggle to access, safe drinking water after attack on dams, pipelines, and treatment plants. We've seen similar patterns, in Gaza and in Yemen as well. Can you walk us through, one or two examples that really illustrate how devastating this can be for civilians?
Well, one of the things about Ukraine is that these people, they have a lot of agriculture production, and especially large infrastructure like dams and canals, which are connected to their irrigation infrastructure. That is very devastating for their agriculture economy. But in the short run, for the people, those who are living in the cities, they are always more vulnerable to water shortages than people who are living in the rural areas, because the rural areas are in the nature and there are always some kind of water resources in that area which have been developed by the locals, and they are not very high tech, but they are very robust. Whereas the infrastructure which is built in cities, even though a city gets a lot of rainfall, and it might have a running stream through the city, but then most of those streams running through the urban landscape are mostly polluted. You can't just straight away go and drink water from them. And then the people who are living in the city, their lifestyle is different. They are used to getting water from their faucets, and they don't know how to actually get their own water from a natural resource. So whether there is water shortage in a country or no, the urban infrastructure is more vulnerable to water shortages because people are not adapted to getting their own water from anywhere else except the faucet or the convenience store. From there they get the bottled water. So it is more the damage to the water structures is also a cultural and societal kind of an issue, your lifestyle issue, that what kind of lifestyle you are in, and that would be, that would govern basically how much impact you get from the disruption in water resources.
मैंने खाया आ जाओ सब खींचो खींचो कर दिया दिल पे जादू तुझे देख के दिल पे तीर चले रहे जोर से काबू
बहुओं के हाथों में दम है
पूरे खानदान के कपड़े मैले हो गए हैं ये सरदर्दी क्या कम है
बहुत कम है मेरे बोनस ट्राई स्टार के सामने बनाए झाग ज्यादा निकाले दाग ज्यादा कपड़े धोए सबसे ज्यादा
वही रस्साकशी एक बार और होगी
सोच लो इस बार बहुओं के साथ उनकी सास भी होगी
वाह क्या बात है बोनस की
When I grow up, I want to be strong.
For many children in Pakistan, that chance is already slipping away. 4 in 10 children under 5 suffer from stunting.
I want to learn big things.
Yet more than half of our children lack essential nutrients like iron, vitamin A and zinc, affecting how they grow, think and learn.
I want to be the fastest.
And nearly 1 in 6 children suffer from wasting, a severe form of malnutrition that weakens growing bodies.
I want to grow up like everyone else.
Because every child deserves a chance to grow, learn and thrive. Act now for the foundations of our nation.
Nurture today, strengthen tomorrow.
ACT, a Dawn Media initiative.
Absolutely. We keep on mentioning this term that, water is being used as a weapon, and we keep on, describing it as well. So, just touching upon on that, there is obviously growing evidence that, water is always used as a weapon in war and, when things are not going right in the world. So whether it's blocking rivers or destroying dams or cutting off supply lines, how are different actors, weaponizing water, and what are the long-term implications that you see?
I think one of the best examples of weaponization of waters is weaponizing the water for peace. A weapon against war, not for war. That's the best weapon the water can be. And one of the best examples of this is I think the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Now, Netherlands is, for example, a country which receives about 90% of their water from outside its boundaries. So there are the water flowing into Netherlands is coming from other countries. Like we have part of our water coming from India and part from Afghanistan and China. So they have 90% of their water coming from the other countries, and they have weaponized that water. How they did it? They created port facilities at the delta of Rhine River, and they started the use of water as a hub of trade and connecting waterways, inland waterways through Rhine and all the way to Danube, and in the up countries, France, Germany, even up to Switzerland and all across Europe. So they just created a waterway, and now the countries which are upstream, if they block water for Holland, their shipping will be impacted. So their trade and commerce will be impacted. What they did, instead of fighting for water and letting their upstream neighbors weaponize that water against them, they weaponized this water for peace. And because when you are mutually dependent on a trade route, it is in the interest of both countries to stay connected, to keep trading, because it benefits both of them. So That is the kind of dividend water can bring. Now, using water as a weapon of war, this is again not a new concept. I think somewhere in Mesopotamia, many centuries ago, I don't remember the exact years, there was this king who actually built a large dam and then suddenly released it in order to flood his enemies. And that is one of the oldest uses of water as a weapon in an armed conflict. Similarly, now the weaponization of water that we see India is trying to do since 1948, because the way they used the water against us was weaponization of water. They cut off the flows, which was actually even at that time a war crime. They committed that. We never pursued it as a war crime. But they are still trying to do it. They want to use this water against us. They want to still coerce us into doing something by threatening our water resources. They are polluting our water resources. So that is where the water is being used as a weapon, and it is not just a weapon of war. It is also a weapon of prejudiced politics. And we are a victim of that as well. And water is not used as a weapon only in armed conflicts. It is a continuous kind of a thing when you use it as a weapon. Like if you start controlling the water of somebody, you can control so many other things with the control of water. And that is something that we have seen. If we look at the history of Indus Basin, that is what the British did when they created these canal colonies after the fall of Punjab in 1849. So what they did, they put a weir and on the river and take a canal out of it, and then everybody is brought in there for developing agriculture through that canal. But the control is with the authorities. They can anytime shut the gates of that canal and let the whole place get into trouble. So just by controlling the water, you can control the population of hundreds of villages which are dependent on that one single gate. So this is how you start weaponizing water